Okay, hi Ruth. Right, let's take a look at your typed version of the essay. Right, overpopulation and the increase in life expectancy have brought new issues to many nations throughout the developed world. Should senior citizens who are still active and healthy retire? Perhaps it is not necessary. If one should be fit and capable, why not keep them employed? Not active, but employed. In fact, being active over the age of 65, I think what you want to say, in fact, if senior citizens over the age of 65 continue to be employed, they will also continue to pay taxes. This, in turn, can contribute to the national income. Thereby mitigating the increased costs of maintaining an aging population. Because it's all about costs, yes, of an aging population. By the way, aging is spelled differently in British English and American English. Okay, there's a big debate about whether to maintain the E or not. Just remember that when you do write your essays, you need to choose whether you're writing in British English or American English and keep that consistent. Because whichever one you choose, the examiner will accept it, but you can't change between British English and American English. Okay, so I'm taking it that you're writing this essay in American English and therefore accepting the spelling of aging. Okay. On the one hand, allowing elderly people to work in certain jobs while they are well into their 60s could be a problem. The reason may be simple. That's not the best sentence. For most employers, I'll maybe rephrase this. The reason may be simple. It's not a very good academic sentence. On the one hand, allowing elderly people to work in certain jobs while they are well into their 60s could pose a problem. Let's use another word. Could pose a problem. Okay. I'm not even sure if this sentence actually fits in here. Okay, so I'd actually remove it. Let me see how it goes further on. For most employees, it is not cost effective to keep people beyond the age of 65 who have reached the top of their pay range. Full stop. Okay. Employers can employ young people who start with a lower salary along with fresh ideas. Furthermore, the generation gap between the young and the old can cause Now you can't say can cause often. Can often cause. Okay? Can often cause. So move that around. Misunderstanding and inefficiency. That is because I'd rather say the reason for this. The reason for this is that now you need to be careful about, alright, they have acquired knowledge in different areas, and they speak with different terminology and terms of reference. For example, remove the E, one could have grown up with computers whilst the other may never have used one. Even though the older ones, let's say the older employees, may have, what's your spelling, may have invaluable experience and want to continue working after the age of 65, there are, because we've got plural here, okay, there are more downsides than upsides for the company to keep them together. I wouldn't use these words downsides and upsides. Okay. I would choose a different word. There are more let's put in liabilities than benefits for the company. There are more benefits for the company. For the company to keep them employed. Not together, but employed. Both, you mean for the company to keep them both employed. Okay, talking about both age groups. Okay. On the other hand, life expectancy is increasing and the birth rate is dropping. That means that governments have to tackle a new situation. Indeed, with less active people, the same amount of income is needed to sustain the national income. I don't understand what you mean. That governments have to tackle a new situation. What you can put here is this brings with it a new set of problems for governments to solve. Indeed, when you say active people, do you mean young people with less young people? The same amount of income is needed to sustain the national income. I'm not quite clear on what you're trying to say. I think what you're saying is, regardless of the age of the employees, the country still needs to achieve a certain GDP. I think that's what you're trying to say. I'm going to put this in here. You can say, regardless of the age of the employees in a country, the national GDP still needs to be maintained. So perhaps learning about how to solve those possible misunderstandings and encouraging companies to retain their senior employees may be the solution for this problem. Maybe try not to use solve and solutions too much. May be the solution for this problem. This issue. Or you could say this dynamic. Change of vocabulary. Okay? All things considered, where there are challenges, there are also solutions. In spite of facing new problems derived from an aging population, increasing the age of retirement seems to be an effective solution. This is the reason why increasing the retirement age outweighs any other challenges that the generation gap could create. Okay, this is a very challenging essay, Ruth. The two things again, your sentence order is where you are needing to make a big improvement, and again with plurals. Okay, and the thing to do when you are, what I suggest that you do is you need to create your own word list. So come up with a word. You know the different areas and topics that IELTS deals with. Okay, it's about people, it's retirement, it's technology, it's something to do with the environment, etc., etc. And give yourself a word association list. So all the words that you might use to discuss that topic, write down the words that you know, and then go and look for alternative words. Because the more alternative words you can use to say the same thing in an essay, shows your knowledge of vocabulary. Okay. All right. Good job. There we go. Well done.